Well, I think every encounter is an educational opportunity, whether it's one-on-one and I'm conducting like health coaching with people, or I'm out teaching a class or speaking to thousands of people or educating via the media. To me, that's a God-given opportunity to touch someone's life. And I always say to myself every night, what have I done to improve someone's life today? And my mom taught me that, and I think if you lead with that, then everything that you do becomes even more meaningful. So to me, it's not so much about all the little things that I do every day, the specific task, it's about my intention towards that. For example, currently I like to go into companies, area businesses, and help them with their wellness programs and executive physicals to try to improve the health of employees, because healthy companies start with healthy employees. So that's one aspect that I really enjoy. I absolutely love my involvement with the media through health columns or my Living Well series on television, because that is a great way to touch a lot of people all at once. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that as far as volume is concerned. Sometimes, you know, when you want to get your message out to the most people that you can, that's the way you have to go. Certainly one of the most gratifying things I've done is to write a book called Sudden Menopause, and I did that because of my own experience with illness and finding that information wasn't there for me when I was young. And so I pulled it all together and I thought, well, why should I be the only one with access to this information? If I was struggling in that situation, then so were a lot of other women. So I pulled that together. Not something I ever thought I'd do. I never aspired to write a book, and I don't really consider myself to be a writer, but I put it together as a resource for people. So I just do a lot of things that I find really gratifying, and I hope that they're helpful to people. Well, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer when I was 26, so that's not only devastating from the fact that you're getting a cancer diagnosis, but who gets ovarian cancer in their 20s? So through the surgeries and the treatment, it rendered me infertile, so then I couldn't have children. I was just dealing with a lot of different issues. And so I turned it around and I thought, how can I use this to help someone? I remember being in the hospital just shortly after my first surgery, and I was observing what was going on with other patients. Now, from the other side of the bed, because I used to be the nurse on the one side of the bed, and now I was the patient on the other side of the bed. And I realized that most of the reasons people were in the hospital were preventive in nature, and that could actually work in their favor, that they could do something about their lives and their health to prevent them from getting there in the first place. So that's when I decided I was going to take my career in a different direction, and I went from bedside nursing into health education, and that's when I decided to start the menopause coaching service at UPMC Hammett and write my book. So that was really a good outlet for me, but a way in which I could turn some tragedy around and make some purpose and meaning come from it. I feel really fortunate because I feel like just about everything I do gives me joy. And when I think about that, I believe it's because I try to live my life congruent with my beliefs. So there isn't a big gap between what I want to be doing, what I think I should be doing, and what I'm actually doing. So when you live your life like that, I think it's just natural that you will feel content and happy and joyful about what you're doing. When I think about mentors, not one person clearly stands out in my mind, or not one situation. And that's when I realized that every person I come into contact with, and every situation, and every experience that I have is really a learning experience. And if you can learn from everyone you come into contact with and everything that you do, then in effect, they all become mentors. And when I think back into my life, I really believe that I've learned more from the adversity and the struggle than I have the successes. Because if life was always hunky-dory and everything came our way, I'm not really sure I'd be motivated to grow and change as a person. So I think for me personally, it is adversity that's really been the greatest teacher. I think the advice I would impart to other women is the advice that I try to follow myself, and that is strive for a balance in your life. And that's tough. And I'm not even saying that I've achieved it. I think it's something that we all have to work on every day, given the kind of world that we live in. But if you can find a balance between your path and what you do, and your family, and having fun, I think that everything works out. If every day you ask yourself, how have I improved someone's life today? I think it keeps you on track. Because sometimes we lose sight of the effect that we have on others and the impact that we have on other people's lives. And we just go through the motions of our job every day. And that's not going to be very gratifying. until you think about how what you're doing is helping someone else. And if you can keep that in mind, I think you'll be pretty content and you'll stay on the right path.